Okay.
מה זה? יש.
Hold on.
איך אתה...
They should be able to see me right now.
Oh, they can see you?
Parents should be able to see me right now.
Who?
The parents who are
How do they know that they're supposed to connect to you? Like, how do they...
I sent an email, all the parents to you.
Okay, so כן, הרב שלח להם קישור, כאילו...
Okay, action's there. Okay, welcome to the Montreal parents. We're very excited to learn Torah with you. I'm not going to look at this computer a little bit, but some of the time you're going to be able to see your children here. This is all your parents looking at you. What? Aha. One step at a time, okay? Everyone say hello. Okay. Now, you get it more. Don't worry about it. Okay, so Shalom Aleichem. We are learning the shiur with the sources. I hope you have the sources, what we gave out before on Kibbutz Aveim in Yerushalayim. First, just to tell you, the parents who are of how excited we are of having the Chalutzim here in Yeshivat Hakotel. I can't believe that it's already Sunday night and you came Thursday night. It feels like the longest 72 hours of your life, but the best 72 hours. And we're very, very, very excited. We're very, very excited that you're here. And I can't think of a more appropriate topic than Kibbutz Aveim when I am giving a shiur to the parents with your children being in Yerushalayim, Yer Kodesh. Now you might say, Rabbi Cup, with all due respect, isn't it a stretch? How did you make up this shiur? Kibbutz Aveim and Yerushalayim. Like, come on. Like, what is the connection? So the truth is, I didn't make up the connection. The connection was made for me in this Gemara that we're going to learn. The first two sources in front of me, in front of you, is on Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, in Kiddushin. The Gemara says in the first source, and I want you to remember this, we have Avini and we have Rav Avohu. Rav Avohu is the grandfather. Rav Avohu is the grandfather. Avini is both the father and the son of Rav Avohu. Okay? So Avini is the son of Rav Avohu, and Avini has 5 sons. Okay? What? That's not so clear. We're going to see that in a second. No, it's like I feel like, I've been a Costello. The Rav Avohu is the grandfather. His name is Rav Avohu. That we're going to see. He has a son named Avimi. And Avimi has 5 sons. Okay? Good. So the Gemara says that Tani Avimi berei the Rav Avohu. Avimi, the son of Rav Avohu, taught the following statement. And we're not going to focus too much on this first statement, even though it is a good introduction to our next 2 statements. He says, Yesh ma'achil la'aviv pisyonei v'tordo min ha'olam. There are those who give to his father. Did anybody know what pheasants were?
It means like bird.
Bird. Rashi had said a very, very good piece, not of succulent steak, but a good piece of chicken. A good piece of schnitzel, a good piece of chicken. He actually says, Rashi says it's quail. No chashuv, quail. V'tordo min olam. Even though you give a good piece of chicken, still tordo min olam, it doesn't help you within your reward, your sachar, and it throws you. It's not going to help you in this world.
Rabbi, isn't it only if you give it to him like non-happily?
Oh, that's already an interpretation. Very good. That might be an interpretation. That's you gave it without the proper quantity or you didn't speak nicely about it. 100% Mr. Miller. Now, but the yesh matchino barei chaim umivio l'chayo olam haba. And there are those who cause their father to work hard in the mill, and that as a result of that, they get tremendous reward of chayo olam haba. Okay, again, there are different interpretations of what's going on. The Yerushalmi, this is not for now, but the Jerusalem Talmud does say, it's talking about a case where the government or the king says, you need to take one person, and it's going to be very embarrassing work. So the son said, I'm going to go instead of you. It's not even clear here how old Rav Avohu is. The Yerushalmi talks about it being older, and therefore it would be embarrassing, it would be hard on them. We're not getting into it as much as there's a nice introduction to statement 2. Now we're going to do statement 2 and statement 3. You're going to help me to see the connection between Kibbutz Aveim and Yerushalayim. Akiva, if I can ask you once in a while, just to move the computer so the parents don't want to see me the whole time, they want to see their children. Okay? The what?
But I read in like our scroll that they're kind of that when it means that even if he makes him grind the mill and like makes him do hard work, as long as he's doing it like happily.
Correct. That's already within Rashi's interpretation what you had said. That the first way is you don't say, "Here, Dad. Here, Mr. Miller, who's in his room now. Here's the big steak. Enjoy." Versus the idea of you're giving your father hard work, but at least he's feeling good about it. That would be one interpretation, like you said from Rashi, from Tosfot also, and the Meiri that talks about when you speak nicely. Okay, but now look at this. Amar Ravavo, now the grandfather. Ravavo, the father of Avimi says, this is statement number 2. Kigon Avimi Berei, Kiyem Mitzvah Kibud. Ravavo says, my son, Avimi knew and he fulfilled the mitzvah of Kibud, of honoring parents. Why? Chamisha bani samche havilei Avimi b'chaye Aviv. The Gemara says that Avimi, the father now, had how many children? 5. But there's an important word. Didn't have just say samche. There are two before you tell me what it is. There are going to be 2 interpretations of what the word samche means. We'll come back to it in a second. He definitely had 5 children that are samche, important word we'll get to in a second. B'chaye Aviv, while Ravavo was still alive. V'chiavata Ravavo Karyababa. The Gemara says the Ravavo who was what? Was knocking at the door. The grandfather was knocking at the door. And then what happened? Rahit v'azilu patachle. Who? The son came. Who came running? No. Ravavo is the grandfather. He's knocking at the door. And then Avimi, the father of 5 sons, the son of Ravavo, what does he do? He runs to the door. And what does he say? Va'amar, in. Says, yes. Ad dimatay lahatam. Until he actually gets there, what happens? Ad dimatay lahatam. Avimi comes and says, no, I'm coming. Yom Echad. So that's the first part. So there are 2 parts. Number 1, there are 5 children. So that's going to be something we need to know. There's 5 children, but Mr. Miller here is trying to tell me about what? About Samchi. He's itching to tell me what Samchi is. I'm not letting him tell me it. There are 2 interpretations. We'll get back to it in a second. Then the Gemara says that what? Amarle. End of the story. What's the end of the story? Story time. End of the story. Amarle. Ravavo says to his son, Avimi, Ashken Maya. Can I please have what?
Water.
Can I have some water? Okay, Mr. Miller, we need other people to talk also. Can I please have some water? Okay? Can I please have some water? What happened? As Avimi was coming to bring the water, what happened, Mr. Ben Simon? Ravavo fell asleep. He fell asleep. He dozed off. Maybe. How do you know he took so long? Where does it say he took so long?
Can you figure it out? Because
what do you mean? Right, the Gemara, maybe that's why even the previous statement may answer that, Mr. Shmuel. Why might answer? It's saying Avimi is so zealous that when Ravavo was knocking at the door, he ran. He was running.
that's exactly. So he ran there. That means he did cooking. The big box means he would give his father. And we went here earlier today that an older gentleman was very eating quickly in the fall sleep. That he would have had to run.
Okay.
He walked.
Who said that he walked? First of all, here it said before that he ran. Second of all, I'm going to come back to your question because I think maybe that's even what the Gemara is saying beforehand. I never thought about this. I've given this year 2 or 3 times. And each time I learn it, each time I think I have a new insight. So Yashar, I'll explain what you just said. Okay? Because in third statement, Yom Echad, one more time. Ravavo said to his son Avimi, can I have a glass of water? Ada'aitile. Now you couldn't make a deal like you were saying that it doesn't say that he ran. But it says as he was coming, he fell asleep. What does he do? The Gemara says, Gachin kayale adi iter. What did the Gemara say? What did he do?
He stood up until he woke up.
Okay. It says here he stood up until he woke up. So Mr. Miller is not an exact translation. Help me. Because what word does it say? It says what? No, right before that. Gachin kai aleh. What does the word gachin mean? Bent. So meaning what happened, Mr. Drazen? What happened? He brought over a glass of water, and then what happens? He stays there, and he sees his father falling asleep. So what did he do? He keeps bent over, holding it until his father wakes up. That's the end of that story. Not exactly, because there's one other piece. What's the other piece? As a result of this, the Gemara says, Istayata milta. Now he finally understood. Avimi finally understood something that he did not understand till now. Vidorash Avimi learned the Tehillim of Mizmor Ayin Tet, of Mizmor La'asaf. Elohim goyim ba'u nachlatecha. End of the Gemara. As a result of this, the Gemara concludes that what happens? What happens? Now he was able to learn this Mizmor. What's this connection? So we have three major questions. Question number one is what Mr. Miller said. What's the 5 children? What are these 5 children? Samchim. We're going to start talking about that in 1 second. Number 2, what is the connection that now he asked him to do water, bring water, he fell asleep, and the Gemara goes out of its way to say that what did he do? Bent over until he woke up. And then even more so is step number 3. Step number 3 is what? Now he got some sort of inspiration, whether it's divine or not, siyata d'shmaya, possibly, but he understood a pasuk. I don't understand. What's the question there? What? Because I do a mitzvah, all of a sudden, is the Torah, does the pasuk at all talking about kibbut avim say, you do the mitzvah of kibbut avim, I'm now going to help you what? Understand Torah. Understand. Doesn't say that. It says, I highly recommend to honor your parents. I'm trying to get a plug, right? It's supposed to be that way. But it doesn't say, because I honor my parents. Therefore, what happens? I now understand all of Torah. What is going on? Those are our 3 questions. You had a question, Mr. Friedman?
Yeah. By bending over, like right over his father with the water, I would say that's like, it's like bad. Because, like,
why is it bad? Because he might fall asleep himself?
It might wake him up. Like he's standing right over like in his face. Mm-hmm. I would think I would be more respectful to like sit by waiting for him to wake up. Interesting, very interesting. Let's see the flip side. It's a good question. Saying, what are you doing bending over? Maybe you're going to wake him up. And we know from the previous Gemara that talks about you're not supposed to wake up your parents. Also, good tidbit of information. Okay, so let's start answering these questions. If we start answering these questions, if you skip a second to source number 5, source number 5 is on the back of this page. The Maharsha already says. The Maharsha says, who are these children? The Maharsha says, Diktek lomar, dehavu banu samchi. What Mr. Miller was itching to say. And what does samchi mean? The first interpretation? They had smicha. They were rabbinical students. Therefore, were they little munchkins? Were there 5 kids with the ages from 3 till 10 of 5 kids? No. We were talking about 5 kids ranging from probably 27, 23, no, even older, 35, older kids. Why is that important? Why is that important tidbit of information? So the Maharsha explains. If you look inside, the Maharsha, who was the Maharsha, by the way? Big Rabbi. Oh, Gabriel, you're good. You're good. His name was Moreno Rav Shlomo Edels. Shmuel Edels. He was a Rav in Poland, a place called Tikachin. You go to Poland, whichever one, whether it's going to be through the Hebrew Academy, Kol Torah Mitzion, wherever you're going to go, or through Yeshivat Hakotel, or any other yeshiva you go to, you'll go there. It's a very, very important place to be. Okay? The Maharsha says as follows. Why 5 rabbinical students? Uvevadai, everyone with me. Uvevadai havi yadi lechaber aviem. They were rabbinical students. They knew what it meant to what? To do kibbut avim. Velarutz bimkomo liftoach lavi aviem. They knew how to run to what? They knew how to honor Rav Avo. their grandfather. They knew how to do that. But what? But Avimi didn't let them. Aval lo hiniach otam kedei sheyikayim hu ba'atzmo mitzvah kiburav. Somehow, this first message, which we're not going to focus on so much, is what? That it's telling me a deen of the importance of you yourself doing mitzvah kiburav. Don't let your children do it for you, as much as your children have the mitzvah of honoring their grandfather also. But that's the first message, which we're not focusing on today. But then there's a second interpretation. The second interpretation is what I want to focus on. What is the second interpretation? What does samchi mean? Yeah, Yoni, what do you say?
That they relied on their father to be the center.
They relied on the father to be what?
The second.
Let's read it inside. You're right. Samchi means to be reliant. Okay? Va'od yesh lomar. Second line. B'nei samchi shayu smuchim al shulchan avihem. Avim. והיה בידו לצוות עליהם שיעשו מלאכתו במקומו לפתוח לאבי אביהם ולא הניח אותו. So what does he say? He says they're a bunch of little munchkins. They're 6 years old, there's 8 years old, there's 10 years old. All of them, that I'm giving them the proper cash to send them to Hebrew Academy. Therefore, I can tell them, please go open up the door for your Saba. And they would have nothing to say. I paid the money for you to come to Yeshivat Hakotel leadership together with Tochmi Chalutzim. If I tell you to go, you go. But still he says no. So that's what the Marsha says. Okay, very nice. Similar, but you're going to see very different in a second. Okay? We're going to get to the next point now. The next point of what? Of what Mr. Friedman asked. Mr. Friedman asked, or I asked, what's the message? What's the message that Avimi was holding this cup of water and bent over? Benji even asked, maybe more respectful would be to put it down on the table right next to him. So here,
what do you mean bent over?
this is what again, what's the story, Mr. Purton? What happened?
So,
Rav Avo, the grandfather, asked me, the father, to do what? Give him a glass of water. When I came, what happened? He was sleeping. So the Gemara goes out of its way to say, what did he do? That he bent over, holding it over. Now, what could the different context, what are the different endings of the story have been? What could he have done? He could put him down on the table. Would it be a bad son? Seemingly not, right? Now, I want to say, this is what the Pnei Yoshua says. You ready for this? The Pnei Yoshua says this. Okay? The Pnei Yoshua says, and this is where we're going to start answering up some of our questions. Well, the Fian used Daiti in source 6. Well, the Fian Yudaiti explains Rabbi Yeshua Falk. Near the Faresh B'Pshitut, Akiva, they want to see their children, they want to see me. Thank you very much. Near the Faresh B'Pshitut, Dibima Shaya Avimi Mekayem Ma'od Mitzvah Kibud. Look what he says. Achar Shehivi Lo Hamayim Shebikesh Mimenu. It's not enough that Avimi was asked by his father, Rav Avo, to bring him water. But the Gemara goes out of its way to say what? Hosif v'kaya lav I aditar shehaya shelo l'tzorich ela l'kayim hamitzvah bilvad b'midah yitira. Look what he says. What he says is unbelievable. What he says is what? And I'm adding a piece now based on what we just saw about Samchi. What type of children are these? The little muscat, what's the word? Munchkin, pipsqueaks. A handful. They're a handful. And therefore, I'm Avimi. I'm sitting at the table on a Sunday night dinner. I'm figuring out how to give what they want to make sure that what? I'm washing the dishes. I'm making sure that they're getting their cups of water. I'm getting their chicken, their steak, their fries. I'm getting them everything. All of a sudden, what happens? There's a knock at the door. I'm a good son. I go what? This comes back to answer your question, Mr. Pert. I'm Rahit. I go, wait, I'm coming. Good. Then what happens? Rav Avo then asked me to bring him water. He's allowed to do that. Now, I come over. Think about the context now. He asked me to bring over water. Okay? Now I come and I see him sleeping. What could have been a very justified reaction by my son?
Most people be like very annoyed and be like, oh, like he just asked me for water. How's
Exactly. He just asked me for water. He just asked me water. He knows I'm a father of 5 kids that are driving me crazy. I'm not 99 years old right now. 110. I'm 37 years old. I got these 5 kids. Oh, that's crazy. And he, chutzpah. So what does the Gemara say? The Gemara says, it could have been where the Pnei Yeshua says, I could have done, what could I have done? Could have put the cup on the table, and I would have been fine.
No, I said like sit down there.
Okay, that could have been also fine. That could have been fine. I hear what you're saying also. But what, let me ask a question. The Gemara chose to say that what did he do? Not only did he wait there for him, what did he do? Gachin. What is the bending over position represent? When you bend down? Humility, what else? Submission. Right? Patience, submission. Which means that what? Not only did he not react in the way of saying what? That I'm right. But he went, as the Pnei Yeshua said, Midayit Teira. He went that much further in what? In his Kibbut Avim. Now, if that is true, explains the Pnei Yeshua the connection to the Mizmor. We had gone to the next step. The Pnei Yeshua said, because of what? Because of this mitzvah that now he did, now he understood a Mizmor. We had asked the question, just because he does the mitzvah of Kibbut Avim, what happens? He's able to what? Understand the Mizmor? Everyone with me? Good. So what Mizmor did he understand and what's the connection? According to the Pnei Yeshua, he says, as opposed to, we haven't seen Rashi and Tosfot yet, but as opposed to what Rashi and Tosfot say that it's Mizmor Ayin Tet, he says the truth is it should have been Mizmor Ayin Gimel. And he thinks that it was a different Mizmor. It was Mizmor Ayin Gimel. And I'm in source 6. That over there, the Pasuk is all talking about, if you did the sources, great. If not, I will tell you what it says. In Mizmor Ayin Gimel, it's talking about that it says, Vani kimat natui raglai, ki kineti b'holulim. He says, I'm looking around, and I see Rishayim having a good life, and I'm jealous of them. Hine Eila Rishayim, and he's saying, what's going on? Why am I in such an exile of galut? And that's a lot of what the Mizmor there is saying, if you looked at it in Mizmor Ayin Gimel. It says, Aravo al Miktashi, al Miktashay El, Avina Lachritam. And most of the Mizmor at this point is talking about this long exile by whom? What exile are we in now? The Roman exile. Who is that ancestor of? Esav. Now, I'm going to skip it to an end for a second. I'll quote you another pasuk in a second. What was Esav known for?
red hair?
Good. What else?
Hunting.
Good. What else? Let's talk about on a religious side.
Selling his.
On a religious side, on a good side. What was the one mitzvah that he knew? Oh! Good morning, America. Kibbut Avim. Okay, I know that, but it's nice to see that you're a little awake now. Kibbut Avim explains the midrash at the end of that Mizmor and Ayin Tet, and I'm in the middle of source number 6, around 6 lines down. It's not one of the underlined parts. ומסיים שם באותו המזמור בעצתך תנחני ואיכר כבוד תיקחני. And the Midrash here says, בעצת תורה תנחני ואחר, it's ואיכר כבוד תיקחני, is כבוד גדול שקיבל עשיו את הוריו שאתה עתיד לעלותנו. That we're going to learn from this. What is this that we're going to learn from this? אתה עתיד לעלותנו. It's that Avimi says, I didn't understand till now the idea of the galut until what? until Avini himself did what? He himself did similar to what? To Esau. He understood that the reason why there was a certain amount of what? Of even though there's rishut, but there's a certain amount of success, was based on the merits of whom? Of Esav, who his excellence was in Kibbut Avim. So that's one interpretation. However, as I told you, this was not just a mitzvah called, the shir is not only called Kibbut Avim. The shir was called Kibbut Avim and Yerushalayim. And the reason why that's important, if you turn back to sources 2 and 3, 3 saying, they say it's a different pasuk, a different mizmor, mizmor ayin tet, not ayin gimel. And mizmor ayin tet talks about the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. We just read the parsha of Vasuli Mikdash v'Shachanti B'tocham. Here, this is talking about the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. We're about to get to Purim, where they had permission from Koresh to build the Beit HaMikdash until we read to chapter 9 in Esther, where what happened? Katvu Sitna, and as a result of the Bnei Haman, they stopped the building. But this is a lot of the Beit HaMikdash. So here it's talking about the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. How would you start off a psalm of Tehillim? Would you start off in a happy tone of Mizmor? No, because it's talking about the destruction. Therefore, he said, I never understood. How does Mizmor Ayin Tet start with Mizmor? It should have said a lamentation. Kina, woe unto me. That's, if you look at Rashi in source number 3, that's what he says. Be'odo gachin lefanav, while he's bending over. She'evin b'midrash, Mizmor echad she'b'sefer Tehillim. But it's not random. Just like we explained according to the Pnei Yoshua, it wasn't random. But this is going to be a different interpretation. V'lachem dorsho, v'yesh b'forshim, that this pasuk, he was doresh. Mizmor la'asaf Elohim bo goyi b'nachlatecha, kina la'asaf mi ba'eleh. I'm in the second line of source 3. Should be woe unto them. The dorish kach, he said, gewalt. He now said Shira. Why? Because he realized that, Mr. Zach, he realized that the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash was a chesed by Hashem. Why was it a chesed? Because all he destroyed was what? Sticks and stones. Sticks, stones, right? Sticks and stones. Shekila chamato, HaKadosh Baruch Hu et chamato beitzim v'avanim shebeito. And he left over a remnants of Am Yisrael. Because without that, we would not be alone. We would not be extant and existing. And that's what the pasuk in Eicha says. Kila Hashem et chamato vayatzet eish b'tzion. So the question is, what's the connection? What is this connection between Kibbut Avim and the destruction? The connection is what we said before. Just now it's applied here. That what happened? What is this connection? Because, and Rashi emphasized it. It's miduyak in Rashi. The first words in Rashi, Mr. Gavriel, is what? Mr. Somech is Be'odo gachin lefanav. It's not that just he did the mitzvah of Kibbut Av, Mr. Jordan Silver. It is not that. Yoko, it's not because he just did the mitzvah of Kibbut Av. But rather what, Yoko? It's Be'odo gachin lefanav. It's because he was doing a certain act. What act? Mr. Drazim, what was he doing? He was bending over. He was bending over. So what? So what? What does that represent? Why now will he now remember, Mr. Friedmans? Why will he remember what? Why will he remember to understand? Why does he get the zchut to remember that this is pshat in the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash? So let's understand again why the temple was destroyed, specifically the second Beit HaMikdash. And then we can make the connection. If you turn, please, to sources 7 and 8. The Amar Rav Yochanan. Rav Yochanan says, Lo charva Yerushalayim el al shadanu ba din Torah. What happens? Yerushalayim was destroyed. Why? Because they followed the letter of the law. says the Gemara in a very academic sense. Huh? That's the way to do it. What should they do? They should just be total anarchy. The Gemara says, the Gemara says, what's the reason why there was a temple was destroyed, Zach? It's because they didn't go above and beyond the letter of the law. They didn't go, we'll explain that. We're going to explain what that means. Lifni mishurat hadin. Lifni mishurat hadin means what? Not only doing what you checked it off, but you go above and beyond. I'm going to explain in a second. I'm going to explain this. What? Oh, we'll explain in a second. Very good. Oh, God. In the morning, in the night, give out. What's the problem? The problem is, Mr. Somech, the problem is, source number 8. Tosfos says, what are you talking about? Chorban Abayis? The Chorban Abayis was because of not going Lifnim Mishuras Hadin, Mr. Miller. That's crazy. Crazy talk. What's the reason, Mr. Freeman? Because why? Don't listen to your brother. Why? Everyone's whispering you something else. Okay? Because of Sinat Chinam.
What does Sinat Chinam do with this?
Oh, that's why I ask you. That's my question. That's Tosfos' question. Tosfos says, Gabriel, how can you say the Gemara in Bava Metzia, the end of the second paragraph? The reason why the destruction happened is because they didn't go above and beyond the letter of the law. Gemara in Yoma says, because of baseless hatred. So what does the Tosfos succinctly answer? A couple words. The Shlomar, the Ha Gorma. What does Ha Gorma mean, Mr. Jordan? Ha veha Gorma. That means this and this caused it. What's the simple interpretation of what that means?
Both of them.
It was both of them. Right, Mr. Somech? Both of them. What's another way to answer it? Oh, another way to answer it is that what? Not two independent reasons. But now, you know what Sinat Chinam really is? It's another definition of Lifnim Mishurat Hadin. Hold on. I always thought, let's define English. What does Sinat Chinam mean? Did we change it, Charlie? Or no? Everyone seeing the translation that we have over here? Everyone should take a pen and cross it out. What does baseless hatred mean? Sinat Chinam, that's how you talk about baseless hatred? We've heard that in camps before. Correct? When I was in Ennismore, I talked about this. I definitely said it was not baseless hatred. I said dabbing, and I said no baseless hatred. That's what I talked about. Right? Okay? Baseless hatred. Let me ask you a question. I'm sure Mr. Jordan Silver, the guy who never stops smiling. But the smile, there it is. See? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Did you meet Schreiber in Yeshiva? You should meet Schreiber. You guys are like brothers. Both of you never stop smiling. It's like crazy. It's okay. Like you can stop smiling. Now, Mr. Silver, what do we got? If in theory, I know you can't even think about it, but if you hated somebody, do you think that there would be a basis? Yeah. If I hate somebody, Akiva, if I hate somebody, there's probably a basis, right? I may not be such a tzaddik, right? But if I hate somebody, Yoko, again, Yoko also, Akiva saved them on the mountain, so thank God.
Parents don't know who Yoko
Right?
is.
They don't know who Yoko is? Okay, that's all the emails they send. Who is this Yoko? Who is this ringer on Tochrin Chalutzin? Rav Roi Shlita. Who is Yoko? That's going to be one of the hashtags. Hashtag, who's Yoko? The chiller. Now, what do we got? That's partial. And then again. Now, what is Sinat Chinam, Zach? Sinat Chinam cannot be baseless hatred. Because if I hate somebody, there's a basis. He did something to me. So what does Sinat Chinam mean?
It wasn't good enough.
What does that mean?
It means that it means that there wasn't really a good, sometimes someone, let's say someone bumps into you in the street by accident.
And now I'm going to start hating them?
It's not a reason to hate someone. So
I don't think that's pshat. You think so I'm annoyed at somebody? I'm not going to hate somebody for that. I'll be annoyed. It's like when somebody cuts me off.
I'll be annoyed. So if I'm in Israel, I'll cut them right back off. That's really smart. But that's like, well, what's going on? Sinat chinam. So what? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Friedman.
It's like holding it in the
Oh, that's good, but that's not. But then the Gemara should have said that what? That the reason why the destruction happened is because they held a grudge. That's not called sinat chinam. That's holding a grudge. But you're onto something. I claim it's not my chidush. It's what I heard from Rabbi Willick. Rabbi Willick says sinat chinam. Take this with you and put it in your pocket. Is not jealousy. Sinat chinam is not baseless hatred. Sinat chinam here for one word. It's unnecessary hatred. What does it mean? It's unnecessary hatred. If I hate somebody, Mr. Drazen, it's because he did something to me. And guess what? I'm right. He was a jerk. He was not nice to me. Am I right? I am right. He messed me over. He embarrassed me. Do I have a basis for the hatred? 100%. However, life is not only about checking the boxes, about doing everything that is exactly right. It's lifnim mishur savi. It's going beyond. It's going beyond and doing not only what's right, but what's smart and what you ought to do. I could have been right, Mr. Somech, to put the water down, like Mr. Freeman said. Avimi could have been right, to put the water down on the table. He would have been right, and he would have been Mekayim the mitzvah. But Rashi emphasized what, Mr. Miller? Be'odo gachim lefanav. By him understanding what? What did he do? He went, as the Pnei Yeshua said, b'midayit teira. He went above and beyond what he needed to do. And that is his whole body, how he's bending over, showing that he's going above and beyond, that he's submitting himself, even though he's right. I'm a father of 5 little kids. Chutzpah, no. I went above and beyond. I could be right, but I wanted to go above and beyond. And because of that, what did he understand? He understood that the reason that what? 2 points. Number one, that of the destruction happening. That is the reason for the destruction that people themselves. What we need to do is what? Go above and beyond. It's also what the Ribono Shalom did for us. That's what Rashi and Tosafot said. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu been correct to check the boxes because we did the sins that Hashem should have destroyed us, 100%. Moreit b'malchut. Done. Let me go start a new nation. But Hashem himself goes above and beyond. And all he does is pours out his wrath on sticks and stones. And he saves, it goes above and beyond saving us. This is the connection that was not just far-reaching. We started out the shir of Kibbutz Aveim and Yerushalayim. That just like Avimi went above and beyond, what now you guys have been the most unbelievable zechut of spending an incredible time in Yerushalayim for these last couple of days before you're going to go on with Rafi Engelhardt and your other experiences for the next 2 days. That is mamash madhim. It's amazing. What you've seen, if you turn to the end of the sources, what you've seen is what we talked about at the Hakotel on Friday night. What you saw was what we had talked about, Yerushalayim haBenuya ki ir shechubra lo yachdav. That it's an ear that's mechaberet Yisrael zel hazeh. In a very short time here. For some of you, the first time in Yerushalayim, and even if it's not the first time, it's still unique. The concept of the different Jews that you saw at the Hakotel when you were there. Some of you did the leadership program of students of Jerusalem and saw other different types of people. It was unbelievable. And like we said at Friday night, this is the connection of Kibbutz Aveim and Yerushalayim. That when you have the Kibbutz Aveim, you better make sure that you say thank you to your parents for the gift that they've given you to be part of this program. Not just thank you, but actually mean it. But at the same time, seeing that within your own self, within Yerushalayim, to make Yerushalayim part of yourself, to, like we said on Friday night, not to just look at what meets the eye, but to go deeper, and to keep going and doing more and more to go lifnim mishur tadin, that soon enough we will be together, and this year will be, for all the parents in Montreal, will be sitting here in this auditorium in Yerushalayim biyachad. Everyone should have a good night and a good afternoon in Montreal. Yeah.
If the bending over is just extra, or at home you still have 5 kids, so like what's the point of doing something extra if you still have responsibilities at home that you should do? But if you have your responsibilities, they follow you know while you're gone, that it can go into complete chaos. You can't even compensate for that just by doing extra. I would say
there's no doubt about it, and it's pretty funny that you say that to me, where I went and I left my family for Shabbos to be here. So on one level, it's 100% in my face. You're 100% correct. No, it's okay. So it wasn't chaos. You're correct. My wife is a tzaddiket. You're 100% correct. But at the same time, you're 100% correct. There are times if you keep going extra, then the Yetzer Hara says keep going extra, and then you have nothing left in the tank. So you obviously always have to be balanced, 100%. But it's the concept. We had explained one of the concepts of going extra. We had mentioned that the Tish about caring and being a giver. One of the things that I taught you is always when you pour water for yourself. I can pour water for myself. I'm thirsty. But then we quoted it from Rabbi Fran that then you're a schlepper. But if I pour water for myself and I pour water from Rav Ro'i Mu Alam, then I'm not only a schlepper, but I'm also a Baal Chesed. So it's caring, it's being able, sometimes it doesn't have to come at the expense of other responsibilities. By pouring myself and also pouring Rav Ro'i, or bringing a vendor in for myself, or sharing some of the Torah experiences with other people in Montreal. Do you have to do that? I don't know. If you're going to share the Torah about Shabbos Zachor. You're going to share the Torah that you learned from the Rosh Yeshiva. That you're going to share the experience you were with Rav Nebenzahl Shlita. One of the Gedolei Hador that many people didn't have to do. That you sat along together. Share that experience of Torah and being with Rav Nebenzahl with others. So do you have to do it? I don't know if you have to do it, but you ought to do it to be able to pass that on. Okay?
How many viewers? Did you check how many viewers we had?
I didn't check anything.
Yes. Hi everyone. It's been a pleasure.